we're gonna tackle about the test cross. But first thing first, we need to define all the scientific words that we're gonna use here in our discussion. These are the words that we're gonna often use. So you need to understand it in order for you to understand all the topics. The first one is dominant, recessive, genotype, phenotype, homozygous dominant, heterozygous dominant, and homozygous recessive. So the first one is dominant. It is the trait that overpowers all the trait. And recessive, it is the trait, the weakest trait na ma-overpower sa dominant. Genotype, it is the letter that we are gonna use in test cross, katong T, the capital T and the small letter T. And phenotype, it is the characteristic or the trait of the genotype. Like T for tall, the capital T for tall, and small letter D for short. So, mo na yung characteristic. And then, ang homozygous dominant, it means katong duha ka book letter is capital T. Okay? So, capital T for dominant, and homozygous siya, which means kapariha sila na letter. The dominant pa jud, so T, capital T, and capital T. Heterozygous dominant, it means isa ra ka capital T. Ang isa kay small letter T. And ang homozygous recessive, it means katong duha ka buok kay kato siyang small letter. It's not capital. It means short. We're gonna tackle about the test cross. So test cross. So what is test cross? So test cross is a scientific mapping, or it is a way of mapping in order to determine the genotype of the dominant trait. It's either heterozygous dominant or homozygous dominant. So, giuse ang test cross para ma-determine nimo siya if heterozygous or homozygous dominant. So, the purpose of it is to know what is the genotype of the dominant. It says nga if ang tanan offspring makita ang dominant, then ang iyang genotype sa dominant kay homozygous dominant. But if ang offspring na recessive, it means heterozygous dominant siya. Okay? Here we have 3 purple offspring. So we all know that purple is the dominant phenotype, or it is the dominant trait. But it is unknown, or we don't know, unsa jud ang genotype sa dominant. Is it heterozygous dominant or homozygous dominant? So in order for you to find out unsa yung genotype sa dominant, you're gonna do the test cross. So capital P for purple and small letter P for white. So here we use the homozygous dominant. Cross mo siya sa homozygous recessive. So capital P, mo na yung first man siya dimension, so diri siya. And yung second dimension sa taas. So here. Capital P, small p equals heterozygous dominant. Capital P, small p, heterozygous dominant. Capital P and small p, heterozygous dominant. Capital P and small p, heterozygous dominant. So your genotype is 100% heterozygous dominant. How about your phenotype? So imong phenotype, since 100% man na siya, 100% pod siya. But, since dominant man naman siya dominant, which is ang purple, so purple yung gibutang dire. Then, if we're gonna use nimo ang heterozygous dominant, mo na yung sa heterozygous dominant. Imo siyang i-cross sa heterozygous recessive. So, capital P, small p, since ano siya dimension diri, small p. Capital P, small p, heterozygous dominant. Capital P, small p, heterozygous dominant. Small p and small p, homozygous recessive. Small p and small p, homozygous recessive. So, yung genotype niya, 50% heterozygous dominant and 50% homozygous recessive. So, how about yung phenotype? Yung phenotype is 50% man siya, 50%. 50% violet, since dominant, na dominant. 50% white, since puro recessive. So, unsa jod ang iyang genotype sa dominant na purple. So, ang iyang genotype sa purple is ang kani, which is ang homozygous dominant. Why? Since tulo siya ka purple diri, mas majority. So, diri siya na-belong. Kaysa diri, tanawa diri, 50-50%. Duha na ka buok ang purple. And here man, tulo man ka purple atong need. So that's why. Second example. Move ta sa second example. So duha ka book short offspring. Short daw. Duha ka book short. So capital T for tall, small letter T for short. So, ang nun gihapon, if heterozygous dominant siya or homozygous dominant. Ang nun iyang genotype. So, here, iyong gigamit ang homozygous dominant. Gi-cross mo siya sa homozygous recessive. Same gihapon, heterozygous dominant ang ni-result, ang upat ka buok. Which means, 100% siya nga heterozygous dominant. Pero yung phenotype, 100% pod nga tall. But we're looking for too short. So, dili siya mao. So, imo siyang gikuan sa heterozygous dominant. Mo ni ang noun sa heterozygous dominant. Capital T and small letter T. Gi-cross mo siya sa homozygous recessive. So, ang igawas niya diri, ang duha ka book yung tanaw ng diri, na ay heterozygous dominant, but here we have homozygous recessive, which means iyang genotype 50% heterozygous dominant, 50% homozygous recessive. So kung yung phenotype 50% gihapon but 50% tall, since diri tall man siya, na tall na capital letter T, and 50% short since homozygous recessive, which means kani ang heterozygous dominant ang genotype sa kan two short offspring. Okay?